respected resource person, and my dear friends. It gives me great pleasure to be with you to chair this session. The session is on mental health and well-being through yoga. Once Jaggi Vasudev, the founder of Isha Foundation, says, among the urban and rural youth, I think one of the biggest reasons is the stress of education. Other reasons are there in small numbers. Yoga is essentially the science of understanding the human gadget. You have the highest supercomputer. Yoga is a tool to equip oneself for well-being. So it needs to be started at the earliest possible time. We have a very eminent scholar with us, Dr.Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani, is the chairman, International Center for Yoga Education and Research, Puducherry, and Deputy Director of the Center for Yoga Therapy Education and Research, Sri Balayogi University, Pondicherry. I request him to deliver his lecture and demonstrate. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank my chairperson for this session, Professor Ratna Natarajan, for his kind words of introduction, and also thanking both the Department of Applied Psychology, Pondicherry University, and the Indian School Psychology Association for giving me this platform, this opportunity to share my love, my life, yoga with all of you. Before I begin, I will request you all to kindly sit in a comfortable, straight, spine-aligned position. The hands can be placed in any comfortable position, closing the eyes and focusing inward. The inner focus, the introspectional focus, is the prime message of yoga. Letting our mind, that super sense, guiding all the other senses, start to move inward, beginning to become aware, developing a beautiful self-awareness of the breathing, being aware as you breathe in and being aware as you breathe out. Consciously directing your mind to follow the breath as it comes in through your nostrils, down the air passages into your lungs, and then being conscious, being aware, being mindful as that breath comes out of your lungs, up the air passages, and finally out your nostrils. Being thoughtfully in the now, being mindful of this beautiful process of breathing, a process that enables us to be a human being, a process that enables us to grow consciously evolve from a subhuman to a human, to a humane and potentially divine state of being. I will chant a verse from the ancient Vedic literature, wishing for us to hear that which is auspicious, see that which is auspicious, live our complete life as we are meant to be, strong limbs, steady will, and with a sense of health and well-being. Badram karnebihi Shrunayama deva Badram pashe Makshaviryajatra Stirai rangai Tushtubhagum Shashtanobihi Vyashema devahitam yadhayuh Swasti na yinvo vrittashvavaha Swasti na pusha vishvaveda Swasti na taksho varishtanemihi Swasti no brihaspati dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Gently rub your palms together, and then the warm palms can be placed over your eyes, and then just around your face and your head, and gently blinking and coming back to the eyes open, wakeful state of being, coming out of our alpha into a beta state. This morning, I'm going to be dwelling on a very beautiful topic, a topic that is the need of the hour, not only for school children, but for all of us adults, for all of us educators, professionals, in fact, for each and every one who is walking the face of the earth today, 7 billion plus human beings. Mental health. The topic was chosen keeping in mind the fact that yoga is an art, a philosophy, a science, a psychology of our ancient Indian culture. It sprouted from this fertile soil and has now spread throughout the world, becoming something that is a gift for humanity. We shouldn't do anything for the sake of something. I'm going to repeat that again. We shouldn't do anything for the sake of something. We should be doing it for the sake of doing it. This is the message of the great Yoga Shastra, the Bhagavad Gita, where Yogeshwar Krishna tells us Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahetu burma te sangosta karmani. Your responsibility, your authority, adhikara, is to do your action, not for the fruits of the action. But he said, just because you're not going to get the fruits, don't stop doing it. Don't go into akarmani. Nowadays it is very popular to say yoga for health, yoga for happiness, yoga for weight loss, yoga for diabetes. What we are doing is yoga for something. And that is why right from the title, I am trying to change that pattern. Mental health and well-being through yoga. It's not yoga for mental health and well-being. Because you start to do yoga initially, and then you start to become yoga. Because yoga is a state of being, it's not something you do. The techniques of yoga enable you to become yoga. And that yoga is a state of equanimity. Again, Lord Krishna tells us, Samatvam yoga uchyate. Yoga is balance. Yoga is harmony. Yoga is equilibrium at the physical, at the emotional, at the mental, at the social, and at the spiritual levels of our existence. When we are balanced, when all aspects of our existence are harmonious, at that point we are healthy. And at that point, mental health and well-being will automatically happen. This morning I am representing our university the Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth University, where we have a Center for Yoga Therapy Education and Research. And our focus, as you will see there, is Salutogenesis. Now, how many of you have heard this term before? Good. My Vice Chancellor will be very happy. Because our Vice Chancellor, Professor Seduraman sir, one of the visionary medical educators of India, for the last 2 years has made it his passion to spread the concept of salutogenesis. Have you heard of pathogenesis? How many people have heard of pathogenesis? Come on, at least you can put your hands up, okay? I'm not asking you to stand on your head. That I'll do later in my lecture. Pathogenesis. Genesis is to give birth, to cause, to manifest. Jananam is the original word in Indian literature that has become Genesis. Jananam. And that is why the Divine Mother is called Janani. Jagat Janani, the Universal Mother. Genesis. Genesis is to manifest, to give birth to cause, to make occur, to make happen. Pathogenesis, to make happen pathology. Salutogenesis is all the factors that enable health to manifest. The word salute comes from Latin and Greek, where it means health, well-being. So instead of focusing on what causes disease, let us start to focus on what enables us to be healthy. Because even the World Health Organization has told us very clearly, health is a state of complete mental, physical, social and spiritual well-being. Of course, you can add a lot of dimensions if you want. But I keep on reminding them, and it is not a state, it's a dynamic state. Because when you say state, you think once I attain it, everything is fine forever. That never happens. People come to me, Dr. Ananda, give us one asana that we do once and forever we should be healthy. That is a mistake we make. Once I become healthy, then I can go and eat my cheeseburgers. I am sorry, you cannot. Well, if you're going to eat your cheeseburger, make sure you exercise enough to burn up those calories. That's a nice approach. Have your cake and eat it too, as they say. But then you have to make the effort, conscious effort. Yoga is about consciousness. So we are focusing on salutogenesis. What is it that enables us to be healthy? And if we have lost it, what enables us to regain our health? Now you must have heard of this story. It's very common in Indian literature. In this case, we have attributed to Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, the guru of Swami Vivekananda, who when asked by Vivekananda, have you seen God? He said, yes, I see God just as I am witnessing you here. In modern times, he would have been locked up in a psychiatric institution. Because if you say, I see God every place, people will think something's gone wrong, put you on antipsychotics, delusional hallucinations. But this is attributed here to Ramakrishna, but it's common. We talk of the Kasturi man, the Kasturi deer, which is the musk deer that has the smell musk that all us men like to put in our aftershave and perfumes, hoping that all the women will come running towards us, as shown in the advertisements. Remember, musk attracts deer, not women. So be careful what you attract. The musk deer, the fable tells us, now I think the deer is more intelligent than that. It's like we talk about the ostrich burying its head in the sand. Ostriches do not, I repeat, do not bury their head in sand. It is us human beings who bury our head not to see the problem and then blame the ostrich. Just as you have scapegoats, we have the scape ostrich. So we blame somebody else, which I'll come back to in a little while. This musk deer is running around the forest, searching for the source of the scent, not knowing that that gland that produces that musk scent is in itself. Now, it is fine if a deer does it, okay, at the level of deer consciousness. But then what is happening? We human beings are the same. We are searching for health, happiness and peace elsewhere while they all lie within us. Now, as a human being, we are blessed with consciousness, with discerning intellect which can make a choice. As Viktor Frankl put it, the last and final freedom is the power to choose your attitude towards that which happens to you. And yet, we are constantly searching. And our ancient Tamil literature, the Purana tells us, Thidum nandrum piratavara, nodalum tanidalum avatvaranna. Neither the ill nor the good comes from others. The troubles and the solutions both arise from within us. The message is, take responsibility for your own health, for your own happiness, and for your own peace. We are always blaming somebody else. The moment as a human being we choose to take the responsibility for our own health, happiness and peace, that is the first step in conscious evolution. And this is why I go back to another definition of health, which is about 600 BC. Sushruta, the father of Indian surgery, he tells us, Samadosha, Sama Agnischa, Samadhatu Malakriya, Prasanna Atma Indriya Mana, Swas Itya Vidiyate. When there is dynamic balance, equilibrium of the elements, the doshas, the metabolic activities, the agnis, and the humors are the dosha, the dhatus are the elements and the humors. And when malakriya, efficient elimination is happening, and this is coupled with a tranquil mind, senses, and a contented self. Now just think about this beautiful definition of health. It is not just physical, it is not just physiological, but it is psychological and spiritual in its nature. A definition of health that is physical, physiological, psychological and spiritual. It's a very beautiful definition given by Sushruta 600 BC. Now according to this, none of us are healthy. Because I don't think of 7 billion human beings you're going to find, well, maybe you will, but it's going to be very difficult. The Srimad Bhagavad Gita as a yoga shastra. Now many people think of it as a religious scripture. For me, the Bhagavad Gita is a yoga shastra, and those verses related to yoga I take very seriously. The rest of it is part of our religious makeup. So we can look for the yoga component in it as a yoga shastra. Krishna as the Yogeshwar, the Lord of Yoga, says, lift yourself by your own self, meaning the self-efforts. Don't lower yourself because of the lack of such efforts. When you understand yourself, you become your own best friend. But if you don't, you become your own worst enemy. It's a very beautiful concept. And this is why we say that yoga can be said to be the journey of the self to the self through the self. It's a very beautiful concept when we talk about yoga. It's not just a set of exercises, but it's an entire attitude towards life that enables you to attain a dynamic state of well-being. Now, why do we move away from this state of well-being? Our essential nature is health and happiness and peace. Why do we move away? And one of the major causes is the stress. Stress can be coming from outside, stress can be coming from inside, but I must remind you, more often than not, the stress that we experience is because of our perception. And I'm going to come to that much later. But in the stress, you can find that this tamasika aspect, the inactive part, if there's nobody to say get up in the morning, most probably most of us won't get up. This is the tamasika. The tamasika guna, dull inertia, is very strong in the early morning especially. Especially if you're in a cold climate with a warm blanket around you, the tamasika guna is not really going to want you to get up. A little more, you're still laid back. Chalta hai. हमारे देश में ज़्यादा है. चलता है. So what? पातगला. We'll manage it. No problem. So what happens? That laid back attitude comes in. And then you come to a word which I love, optimum. Neither too much, neither too less. Again a message of the Bhagavad Gita. Yukta viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapna babodasya yogo bhavati dukkha ha. The dukkha, the suffering is ha, destroyed when there is moderation in everything. In your food, in your sleep, in your talk, in your rest, in your activity, when optimum functioning is happening. So there is an optimal level of stress. For example, me standing up here, I need an optimal level of stress to deliver my talk. You need an optimal level of stress to sit there and listen to me. If you are too inactive, you are not going to be in this hall. The second group is the laid back, which is sitting outside gossiping. The third is the optimal stress level, who are all sitting in here and me is here. And then you have the others. I'm not going to talk about what's happening to them. Even in every group of people you can find it. But then what is happening in the name of improving efficiency? Anybody who is working professionally will understand this. You are doing a good job. And then they'll put a supervisor to supervise you. You are doing a good job. Now you have a supervisor to supervise you, who has to make it look like he is supervising you to work efficiently. And then in bigger organizations, you will have a general supervisor to supervise the supervisor to make sure you are working efficiently. Ultimately, after all of this starts to happen, what happens? Slowly efficiency goes down because everybody is saying, by this evening you have to do this. Initially it is by the end of the month. Then they say by this end of the week. Then they say by this evening. And then they say by lunchtime I want this report. And then the next one is immediately. And what happens is you think you are improving efficiency, but exhaustion, anxiety, and ultimately burnout and breakdown occurs. This happens every place. It happens in relationships. This too little stress is the one where you never get the girl or the boy. Optimum stress is where you are able to efficiently propose to them. Now here starts all the problem getting ready for the wedding, especially our Indian style weddings. Too much of stress and overload. And then you are expected to go to so many relatives, eat food at every relative, and then as usual, by the end of the first month, people are saying, aren't you pregnant yet? Huh? All of this is too much stress and burnout, and finally what happens? Everything collapses. Very typical situation, human relationships, workplaces, teaching. When you join a new job, you're up here, and then slowly either you can go to this side or that side, depending on your attitude. Ultimately, I'm not going to blame others, but our attitude, because we all know this. A diamond is nothing but just a little piece of charcoal that handles stress exceptionally well. And I would like to remind all of us, myself also, that's why I didn't say all of you, I said all of us. We are constantly learning together. Sahana Vavatu Sahana Gunaktu. We are learning and growing together. It's not me, it's not you. When you want to find out the age of something on this planet, what is the technique they use? Have you heard something called carbon dating? They do carbon dating because everything is made up of carbon. Now, carbon, one form is charcoal, coal. Another form of carbon is graphite that we use in pencils and other things. And then the third is diamond. Now imagine one of you young guys wanted to propose to your girlfriend and went to her with a piece of coal and said, will you marry me? Most probably you'll be lucky if you escape alive. Now if you take a diamond, there are more chances, okay? I'm not saying she'll always say yes, but more chances, okay? Graphite, not much, but nowadays with the new earrings and all, maybe you'll have graphite earrings, maybe a new fashion. I don't think you girls will want to wear charcoal earrings, okay? I don't see that happening. It's all the same carbon. Coal is the same carbon, graphite is the same carbon, diamond is the same carbon. But what is the difference? It is the attitude. Coal is the diamond that said, why should I take the stress? Why should I do anything? So it remained here. The graphite said, let me take it a bit, and it went on. But the diamond is the one who said, come on pressure, come on temperature, come on. I am ready to face you. And at that point, it became a diamond. Now, if all of us are also carbon, don't you think this is applicable to each and every one of us? That when we say, I don't want to do it because it is too tough, what has happened? You have made a choice to remain cold for the rest of your life. And then you just get burnt out, burnt up, so that somebody else can benefit. By burning coal, coal never benefits, somebody else benefits. And that becomes your life. The next one is, you say, I'll take a little bit as and when possible, you become graphite, where you end up doing some good things. But if you are to be yourself, the best you that you can become in this lifetime, you have to become the diamond. And that is the attitude we choose. And in yoga we say that is the golden mean, that optimal performance, the optimal stress, the optimal performance, the optimal functioning is what we are looking at. And that concept of samatvam, yoga uchyate. Now the Bhagavad Gita also gives us some very beautiful concepts of a mentally healthy person. And if you look at it, the first one is beyond passion, fear and anger. The second is devoid of possessiveness and egoism, firm in understanding, unbewildered, engaged in doing good for all creatures, friendly and compassionate to all, pure-hearted and skillful without expectation. Now, according to this definition, again of 7 billion human beings, how many are mentally healthy? I don't know. Because this is a very utopian idea, in fact. But this is an idea that yoga presents. It says you can aim for this. You aim for the stars. Because if you aim for the stars, at least you will get off the ground. If you don't aim for the stars, you're not going any place. So it gives us a vision of what we can be. Because yoga says you're not just the body. You have multiple levels of existence, and I have given a new perspective to this. Normally, you have a person sitting, and we say this is the physical body, then we say there's the energy sheath, then we say there's the mind, the intellect, and then you are the universe. But what I have tried to do is here, that at both ends of the spectrum, deep within you and outside, lies that universal existence. And if you look at it in this center one here, this is the one, the center layer is where your physical existence is. So you have the physical, the physiological, the psychological, the intellectual, and the universal aspects of your existence. And you can find it by going out also, and you can find by going in also. You may have seen a very beautiful PowerPoint presentation on the net, where they take a leaf and they look at the power of 10 and they magnify it and they go in 10 to the power of minus 1, 10 to the power of minus 2, 10 to the power of minus 3 up to about 10 to the power of 15 or 17. Then they go out the other way. If you go away from the leaf 10 meters, 10 to the power of 200 meters, and they go out into space. And at the end of both of these journeys, the picture is very similar. That is the message here. Now, if you want to find it the easier way, is to go inside. It is actually the shorter one. But I must warn you, every shortcut is not easy. Most probably the shortcut means you have to climb the mountain or swim across the ocean. You know, there are going to be these challenges. But the shortest way to the self is actually by going within. The yogic concept of mind details the antakarana. These are the inner instruments. And we have the manas, which is our thinking part, the conscious part. The chitta, which is the storage part, the unconscious memory part. The buddhi, which is the intellect, the deciding part, and ahankara, the controlling part or the ego. Now it is important we respect the brain. We have to understand that we are a manifestation of the divine, because when we turn our brain into a trash basket, when we turn our mind into a trash basket, what is going to happen? The system is going to slow down. Like a computer slows down when you have so much of trash. So defragment and reformat now and then. That is what yoga tries to give us. Now another concept that yoga emphasizes is abhyasa. That is regularity, rhythm and repetition in one's dedicated practice. Because when we mindfully and consciously perform the techniques of yoga, we are creating neural pathways that get stronger and stronger with time, which is why we need to keep on working on them. Because if you don't work on them, you lose them. You lose that which you don't use, was my father's favorite statement. And most of our brain we don't seem to use these days. Because yoga is looking at helping us integrate. What do we do when we do the yoga techniques? One is the concepts of yoga, but then there are the techniques of yoga. We are producing an integration of the breathing pattern with coordinated smooth body movements. So for example, what we do is, we would say breathe in and slowly lift our hands up, and we would say breathe out and slowly bring our hands down. Let's all just try it, okay? Just sit in your chair so that you can move without hitting anybody. We are going to be doing quite a few of small things today so that it becomes a practicality. For me, yoga is a practical philosophy, a practical psychology. So you put into action. So what I want you to do is, as we breathe in, we are going to bring the hands up, okay? And as we breathe out, we are going to bring our hands down, okay? Let's all do it together, creating a nice group energy. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A third time. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just sit quietly. Become aware of the effect this has on you, where your body movements have been synchronized with your breathing pattern that has been directed by your mind. A conscious linking of the breathing with the movement. You have brought together 3 aspects of your existence: the psychological, well, even a bit of the intellectual, because that is where the choice comes, and along with the physiological, which is the breathing, the movement, and the physical, which is the body itself. So everything that we do in yoga, I want to remind you, we try to integrate, and that is why a definition of yoga is also integration. People often say yoga is union. It's integration, bringing together the diverse aspects of us, our own self. So we integrate the breath pattern. There is a conscious focus on the present moment. As you're doing this, you're focusing, what am I doing? Now if you're doing this, but you're thinking what's for lunch, maybe the same effect may not be there. It looks like yoga, but it may not be yoga because the mind is not there. Because mindfulness is yoga. Nowadays, mindfulness-based activities have become very popular in the world. When you are mindful of the movement and your breathing is synchronized, 3 aspects of you, at least if not other aspects, are coming together. And we realize that when the body is stilled as an asana, which is a steady, comfortable posture, the mind starts to calm down. Now if somebody says, I am very calm, and if I say, I am very calm, I don't think any of you is going to trust me. But you know, if I am standing or sitting quietly, not much movement, I am quite centered in myself, you're going to say, most probably your mind is a bit calm. But you're not, because the body is not still. The body needs to be still, and then the mind starts to calm down. So normally we talk about the psychosomatic effects of yoga, but I say the psychosomatic effects of yoga happen because of the somatopsychic mechanisms. And I'm sure you're going to understand this word and enjoy it. Somatopsychic mechanisms. So what you're doing with the body is influencing the mind. Somatopsychic, but then the effect is psychosomatic. It's very beautiful. You use the body, and I'm going to make a statement soon on that. You use the body to influence the mind to influence the body. It's a very beautiful tool. There are not too many things we do in our day-to-day life that can do that. And this is where simple practices of yoga can help us. Because when the breath is steady, emotions become balanced. Again, a sure sign to know if somebody is emotionally imbalanced is just look at the breathing. Immediate sign, and this is what our physiological polygraphs catch up on. That the moment you start to lie and you become a bit emotionally upset, all the alarms go off because your physiological systems are affected. There's this deep connection. And when all of this is happening, all aspects of human psychophysiological function is improved. These are some of the mechanisms because the healthy improvement in physical, mental, emotional and social well-being enable us to attain the highest physical, mental, emotional, social and spiritual potential. Only when you are well can you attain your maximum potential. If you are not well, you are not going to be able to attain that potential. And this is where we develop an enhanced ability to manage the omnipresent stressors and thrive positively in all aspects of life. So you are becoming an efficient human being. You are living your life as an optimal human being rather than as a featherless biped. You know what is a featherless biped? That is what Aristotle called human beings. He said the human beings are featherless bipeds. You are walking around on two legs without feathers. Chickens have feathers, that's the only difference. He called us a bird brain. He actually was insulting the human race, but anyway. Most people, the insults go over the head and so you don't have a problem. That's why people like Plato and Aristotle really struggled. Because most of it went above people's head. Super brain yoga, it's becoming very popular. And in fact, you can go on the net and for $500 you can get certified to teach super brain yoga in the USA. And they have funny advertisements of guys in white coats coming and telling you how this can help you. I'm going to teach you that free, okay? As a benefit of registering for this conference. I promise Pancharamlingam I will enable them to save $500. Okay? You're going to learn super brain yoga. And before that, there is evidence that you can move beyond molding and shaping the mind. You can actually literally create a new brain. This is Dr. Satbir, a dear friend of mine who is working at Harvard. And what we are finding is we can stimulate generation of new brain cells and that the cells can migrate from one area of the brain to another. Now imagine people who have neurological issues of the brain, certain parts have died, are not functioning. And you can start to consciously change what's happening. It's an amazing tool. This is way beyond epigenetics. It's way beyond the modern transplants and stem cell work. But this is a bit more difficult because you have to do it. Somebody cannot do it for you. Of course, if you have people like Professor Pancharamlingam, he will do it for you. And because he does it for everybody becomes very lackadaisical. Because always know he is going to save you at the end of the day. Fine. Satbir goes to the extent of even saying, it's beyond neuroplasticity, it is neurogenesis. Now this is a very important word for us to understand because if you want the hardware, the brain to be functioning with the software of your mind, well, you need to have the hardware doing its job well. And we have a lot of people losing the hardware and then the problem is what happens to the software, it gets disconnected. Dementia is becoming a major issue worldwide. Now if we can just get people moving consciously, moving mindfully, breathing properly, maybe we can start to help people. Maybe. I'm still putting maybe because unless you get a pharmaceutical company behind you, research is not going to get funded much. This is based on a concept, yado mana tato prana, which says where the mind goes, there the energy flows. So be careful where you put your mind, okay? Where you put your mind, your energy goes. And so you can use your mind to change your brain, to change your mind for the better. It's a very interesting, this somatopsychic, psychosomatic connection you are strengthening here. And this is called self-directed neuroplasticity. You are taking charge. You are becoming in charge. So how do we do this? This super brain yoga is actually from our culture here. We used to call it Topu Karana. And this was something that whenever a student has a learning disability in school, was not learning well, the teachers in those days, they didn't know learning disability and all these technical things. They said, this student is very dull, we need to activate. So what do? They caught hold of the left ear with the right hand. Right ear with the left hand. Okay? Let's all try it out. Catching hold, we have all been a bit naughty sometime in our life, right? So let's make up for it. Right hand on the left ear, left hand on the right ear. Okay? This is the first thing. What you are doing is cross-connecting the right side with the left, left side with the right. You are cross-connecting the hemispheric connections. You are developing the corpus callosum fibers quite amazingly. And then what you do, you take in a deep breath, and as you breathe out, you squat. So, okay, now you don't have to squat, okay? But those of you who want to try it out can go into the side body. So we breathe in and out, in, out. Now, what we are doing here, what is actually happening? Just think about it. Your right hand is connected to the left brain, left hand to the right brain, the cross connections. Okay? The area of the hand is being linked in your sensory motor homunculus in your brain, sensory motor areas. These two areas are getting connected. You are creating a closed circuit of energy. Okay? Right and left brain, you are bringing together qualitative aspects of your life, that is your right brain, quantitative aspects of your life, the left brain, and you are uniting them so that you are balancing quantity and quality in your life. It's neither quality nor quantity, but both. You want both of them, not all. But you want this and that. Okay? So this type of connection, then what are you doing? You are breathing and raising yourself. So there is that connection between the breath and body movement, and as you blast out, you go down. Now blasting out activates your central nervous system. We have done studies in normal children and in special children showing that a practice called Mukha Bhasprita, where you breathe in and then you blast out. So one in breath, multiple out breaths, okay? 9 rounds of this, the reaction time was faster. Now if you close your left eye and only look through your right eye, you see things in one perspective. If you close your right eye and look through your left, you see in another perspective, okay? Now God has created, nature has created, the universe has created, whoever, he, she, it, or we have created ourselves, whatever. The two eyes in such a way that they come together to give you depth perception. And that is why if you are driving on the roads in Pondicherry especially, please make sure both your eyes are working together. Otherwise you don't know how far you are from anybody. The second part is enhancing mental alertness and focus. This is a very important aspect that yoga enables us to have. Reduces the unnecessary distractions, all the clutter. This periphery, when you clean it out, your focus becomes better. Improves the attention span, awakens maybe the latent areas of the brain that we are normally not using. You don't do many of the things that we do in yoga in normal day-to-day life. So when you do it, you are stimulating new areas that were not being worked. Balancing the hemispheric activity, I told you a few examples. We have a lot of examples. The best example is just bringing your hands together in Namaskar Mudra. You know what you have done? Your right hand is left brain, left hand, right brain. The homunculus hanging on the outside about here is the area of the sensory motor part of your left hand. You get it? Here is the sensory motor homunculus for your right hand. Now when you bring your right and left hand together, this part of your brain and this part are firing at the same time. You got the idea? So when you do this, Two opposite segments are firing at the same time. You are creating an integration of your left and right hemisphere just when you do Namaskar, Namaste. Amazing stuff. When you do something like this, what you are bringing down here, very different. If you twist and do this, you are touching different areas. So constantly, the yogis have put these different practices where different parts of the brain are constantly being made to fire in unison. So, facilitating healthy neuroplasticity, developing changing patterns of your neurons, and associative understanding of interconnectivity, you start to see the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle coming together. Develops your perception, a greater perspective, because you know all the components. When you don't know anything, you think you know everything. When you know everything, you know that you know nothing. That is why Abhaya, Tamil Mudati said, Katrathu kaiman alavu kalladhathu ulagalavu. What I know is in my 1/5. What I don't know is the whole universe. She knew a lot, that's why she knew that. But the people who get up and say, I know, in my opinion. The first one is in my considered opinion. It means they have not thought about it at all. It's the ego speaking, nothing else. What happens is we get locked. Yoga is saying unlock yourself. Become a free being, an elevated, liberated being which can perceive from the great heights. Enhancing the inner sense of ease and well-being. So I've given just 9 postulates on how yoga can be helping us with our mental health. And peace, strength, confidence, these are some of the words that come up. And we need to understand that our attention is like a spotlight, illuminating what it rests upon. It's like a vacuum cleaner drawing ideas into the field of focused awareness, thus utilizing the areas of the brain, enabling neuroplasticity. Think about it by self-directed attention, what you are doing for your brain. So directing your attention skillfully, this is the essence of mindfulness. It is a fundamental way to shape the brain and over life, where your whole life over time gets shaped. What does this mean? You have to be very responsible, because choose carefully what you think about, because it's very dangerous. And what do most people think about? As a doctor, we deal with thousands of patients. And many of my patients, when they come to me, they say, Doctor, my knee is paining. Pain, 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 pain. You know what's happening? They are constantly doing a japa. Uninterrupted repetition, but of what? Pain, 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 pain. What do you think they're going to have? Pain. You put cash into the bank, what do you get back? Hopefully, if it's not the American banks. Yeah. If you put cash in the bank, you should get back with interest. You put stones in the bank, do you get back more stones? See, what you put in comes back. Most people are, throwing junk up in the sky and not realizing it's going to come back and fall on their head. Eat a banana, you could have a nice cartoon. A guy eats a banana, throws a peel up. He's very happy. If you're focusing pain, 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 that becomes your attention spotlight. But if you say, I want to heal, healing, I want to generate, think of warmth, think of flow of energy, think of movement, think of health. That is why salutogenesis is the focus on health, as opposed to pathogenesis, the focus on disease. So modern medicine focusing on disease has only kept disease industry going. If we had focused on health, we would have a truly health industry going. So where we focus is very important, and as human beings, we have the choice to do it. Now, there are many practices in yoga, and these practices typically are depicted in different ways, and of these, we have the stretching like we were doing with the breathing. We have a breathing practice. This practice we are going to do today. Another practice here, you can see the type of work you do with the spine, realigning your spine in different ways. And here a very nice one, Shobana is sitting there. when we did this a few years ago. You can see this is a very beautiful practice called the Vyagra Pranayama, the tiger breathing. And as you breathe in, you stretch up. You can do it even from the chair, just as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, curving your spine. Breathe in and curve upward. Breathe out and curve down. Breathe in, curving up. Breathe out, curving down. An excellent practice to realign the whole spinal column. And please understand the whole energy flow from the brain to the rest of the body, and from the rest of the body to the brain goes through your spinal cord. So an unhealthy spinal cord will not let the brain communicate with the rest of the body, nor let the rest of the body communicate with the brain. And this is where these type of practices, this is for the neck, this is for the back. Pavana Mukta, where we compress and relax, changing the energy flow into the abdominal region, the solar plexus. Here we do practices, stretching to the right, to the left. And again, this is another practice where more that energy flow right down here can be enhanced. Similarly, you stretch up and you bring the leg back down. And one of the pranayamas, the Brahmari, where you close off your sensory outlook. You're constantly, the senses are going out, looking for something. You close it, you start to focus in, and a practice is done in the Brahmari. Now, a very nice image, which I really love because it sort of makes it quite nice actually. If you look at this, you have all those colors and beautiful paintings. Look at that, all those Gairai and Salkai and I am the right brain, love, freedom, passion. And here you have this dull, drab, stuff. This is, not really true ultimately, but it's a good way to look at ourselves. Now what we have in yoga is that we say you can modify the activity of the left and right brains using your nostrils. And you have the right nostril and the left nostril. Right nostril connected to the left brain, left nostril to the right brain. So a simple thing that you can do is that what you do is that you use your right hand and the ring finger to block your left nostril, okay? Okay, and now what we do is we just breathe in through the right nostril. And we breathe out through the right nostril. So again, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. Now we have been working on our left brain by working through the right nostril. What is the left brain good for? All the calculative aspects, the quantitative aspects. So if you're going for an exam, you're going for an interview, you're going to do a bit of accounting, well, right nostril is going to help you do that better. But most of the time we are also caught up with quantitative aspects and our stresses, we need to also let go a bit. And that is our right brain. So what you do is take your thumb, right thumb, close your right nostril, and through the left nostril now you breathe in and breathe out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. Now you have calmed yourself. You have looked at the qualitative aspects of life. So depending on what's happening, you can be balancing. Now if you are too lazy to put your hand to your nose, all you have to do is lie down like this, on the side with your right side up, and within about 15 to 20 minutes, you will be doing the Surya Nadi Pranayama. Okay, so after your lunch, if you want to take a nap and be a bit active when you get back to work, the Surya Nadi Asana is a good one to do. Helps your digestion, keeps you active. But if you want to relax yourself, you have hypertension, you have diabetes, you have the lot of, even fever or lot of stress. Chandra Nadi, where you have the left side up. After 15 to 20 minutes of lying in this position, that nostril becomes dominant. You start to perform a passive Chandra Nadi Pranayama. But in yoga, what do we say? We say we want to balance it. So what we can do is, for example, block the right nostril with your thumb. Breathe in through the left. Block the left nostril, open the right and breathe out through the right. Sorry, breathe out to the right. Breathe in through right. Block it. Breathe out to the left. Again, breathe in left. Out right. In right. Out left. What are we doing? We are balancing the right and left hemispheres. You are balancing your personality, you are balancing your activity. And this is where I want to share a few thoughts on something, because yoga is all about perspective, the yogic perspective. And what we need to realize is everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Because we are all locked in our perspectives and we believe our perspective is the only perspective. And then we say, I will kill you because your perspective differs from mine. And this is one of the big issues we have in the world today. Now, it's a very common image. This is the half full and half empty cup of water. And this was going on for a long time until our Prime Minister Modi ji came upon the scene. And he discussed this in a different way. You know what he said? This is half filled with water and half filled with air. Imagine that. Instead of saying it is half filled or half empty, he said it is totally full. Purnamada, Purnamidam, everything is complete, everything is wholesome. It is half filled with water, half filled with air. It's a new dimension, a new perspective. Now, we all know about Pavlov. And what he did was, we came upon the Pavlovian conditioning, that he, used to ring the bell and give the food and then see what happened. But look at it from the dog's perspective. What the dog is saying, watch what I can do, make Pavlov do as soon as I roll, he will smile and write in his book. So the dog says, every time I go, he's going to write in his book. So the dog is thinking it has conditioned Pavlov. Pavlov is thinking he has conditioned the dog. This is like we teachers think we have taught the students think they have taught us. Well, in truth, both are true. Now, this is another image I wanted to share. I share this a lot with our medical students in our institute to give them a new perspective on life. Because otherwise, the doctors have a tendency to be very locked. Because we go into specialization. And you know what is a specialist? A specialist is a person who knows more and more about less and less. Okay? A specialist is a person who knows more and more about less and less until they know everything about nothing. It's a good way to think. Now here what happens, you have a light shining from this side. You see the blue light shining. And what does it do? You have the circle with a blue halo. And so the guy who's sitting at this side says, it is a circle with a blue halo. And the other guy from the other side says, sorry sir, it is a square with a orange halo. And both of them start fighting. They go to court like Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. And they start fighting like India and Pakistan that only I am correct. And you know what the joke is? Actually look at this third, what the actual image is. It's actually a cylinder. And it's neither a circle nor a square. It's a cylinder and it has blue and it is orange. It is neither a black circle nor a black square. But because of our colored perceptions, we have, this is true, this is true. Yeah, you're true. But you are not the only one who is true. It is me, my way, or no way. And there was a guy, a French king, who said, after me the deluge. Nothing will be there after me. Imagine the ego megalomaniac situation. Well, America is facing the next one of that. Now, this is an old one. We talk about the blind men of Hindustan. And each one of them, this is a spear, this is a snake, this is a tree, this is a wall, this is a fan, this is a rope, depending on what part of the elephant they were perceiving. Actually, none of them are true. It is an elephant. And even if you summate all the research findings that we normally do in our scientific research, we summate all these guys' research findings, and what do you get? A total mess. None of them has concluded it's an elephant. And when you summate them, you will never get an elephant. You will say this is an amazing computer graphic image generated creature, a devil from Pluto. That is like this. It's a wall, but it's a rope, it's a fan, but it's a spear, it's a snake, it's a tree, and we all get stressed out. Oh my God, it's going to attack me. And it's this poor, docile elephant. This is the problem with perception. Another perspective. Both of them are right. This guy says it's 6, that guy says it's 9. I was learning about learning disabilities yesterday and how children reverse 9 and 6. And we say, no, they have to perceive it as 6. Maybe they are correct. Maybe we are wrong. I often think about it with my patients in psychiatry. Their perceptions, whether their perceptions are right and we are wrong. Because it's amazing perceptions they have. We need to consider those perceptions also. Now this is another one I like. There's a guy on a marooned island. He sees a boat and he's like, oh, boat, I'm saved. And the other guy, he is in this boat like Life of Pi for many weeks or months. He says, land! And both of them are actually doomed, okay? Neither is saved. Because now both of them are going to be with one boat on a small marooned island. Now hopefully that boat doesn't have a hole. Hopefully it doesn't look like even he has any oars there. So I don't know how they're going to row. But maybe if one puts his hand this way and the other puts his hand in there, if they work as a team, maybe they can get someplace. This I have to really share with you. Again from the net, not original. There's this rhinoceros, an excellent painter, the Rhino Picasso, or Rhino Hussein, whatever you want to call him. But look at all those beautiful paintings he's made of landscape. What's common in all of them? It is the horn of the rhinoceros. Isn't that beautiful? Now actually I'll tell you a truth. When a rhinoceros looks at you, it just sees you, it doesn't see a horn, okay? It's like, we have a rhino in front of us. You know that? Our nose. And if you close this side, you can see your nose, you can see. But then when I use both of them, I block it out. The nose is still there. It's still in my field of vision, but I block it out. This is how we learn. So the rhinoceros doesn't, but this is good for a perspective. Now you know what? This is in us human beings. Any guess? What is this horn? The rhinoceros has the horn in every one of its paintings. What do we human beings have in every one of our perceptions? Ego. We have this huge ego built into everything we perceive. Now imagine the trouble we cause because of that. And that is why our ancient Vedas said, Ano Badhra Katavo Yantu Vishwataha. May noble thoughts come to us from all dimensions, all directions. Don't limit to only one. Don't limit to only I am right, only my way. And the other one, truth is one. People describe it variously. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. A very beautiful concept to realize that your way may also be true, my way may also be true. Let us respect the fact that you have a perspective and I have one. We learn to respect each other's perspective rather than only my way. See, the problem, the moment you say only, it is that rhinoceros with its ego. So the question I want to ask you before we do a few practices, what perspective do you choose in life? The second, why do you choose it? The third, how do you choose it? So what is the perspective you choose? Why do you choose it? How do you choose it? And are you open to others' perspectives? This is something I want to give to you. Because through yoga, we try to induce psychosomatic, physical harmony, the asanas, the pranayamas and all. We try to balance the emotional volatility through the different techniques, especially the introspectional self-analysis. Group work is also there. We try to develop appropriate psychological attitudes. Patanjali gives us different attitudes. He says if somebody is at ease with themselves, be friendly with them. Maitri, with those who are sukha. If somebody is suffering in dukkha, have karuna to them, karuna dukkha. And then he says, if somebody is cheerful, don't go and slap them because they are cheerful. He says, mudita, be cheerful. If somebody is cheerful now, if somebody is good, be cheerful to them. Don't go and say, hey, how dare you be good? This is what society does today. If you try to be good, they slap you for it. You get fined for it. You get suspended for it. And he says, if people are evil or they don't know what they are doing, the ignorant people, please stay away. Upekshana. Because don't be that good apple that says, I'm going to jump into this barrel of rotten apples and change it. Never, never, never in human history or the history of this planet has one good apple jumped into a barrel of rotten apples and converted the rotten apples into good apples. It's never happened, so don't think you are going to do it. That's your ego. And contemplation, relaxation and meditation, these are the ways that we try to go forward also. To conclude, I'd like to make a few statements. Yoga helps to cultivate an appropriate attitude towards life, enabling us to have the will, it's called Ichcha Shakti, to change, that is the Kriya Shakti, that which can be changed, the strength to accept that which we cannot, and the wisdom, Jnana Shakti, to know the difference. An attitude of letting go of the worries, the problems, a greater understanding of our mental process, helping create harmony of the body and mind. The disharmony of the body and mind, the Adi, Vyadi, the psychosomatic disorders are the cause of so many issues. As my father would say, health and happiness are your birthright, claim them and develop them to your maximum potential. And he used to remind us that the goal of human life is moksha or liberation, to become a free soul, one who is freed of all these bondages. We are so busy today trying to find health and happiness that we have forgotten the purpose of the human incarnation. And through yoga, we can regain our birthright of happiness, health, peace, and attain the goal of our human existence. Thank you very much for your patient listening, for this wonderful opportunity. And thank you, thank you, thank you.